Bearcat Bounce Podcast, back at it again. It is a Tuesday. Yes, that's right. It is a special Tuesday following a Christmas Monday, leading into a New Year's Sunday, and revive and recoup and get things back in order New Year's Day, Monday. It's a special Tuesday to close out the final BBP of the year 2023. And a Tuesday following a signing day Wednesday last week and another non-conference basketball win Friday. It also is a special Tuesday where the BBP mixes with the original Tuesday nights, Georgia in the Jungle, which means it's a special evening where I welcome in my guys, my pals, and a legendary figure in Cincinnati sports media. That's right, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, no Ryan Royer yet, and George Vocal. Gentlemen, how are we?
Awesome. We're unsure on the status of Roy.
Unsure.
He could pop in any minute, right?
Or he might not be here at all.
Correct. I'm betting on that.
That's with me too.
That's the odds-on favorite.
I mean, he's usually 10 minutes late, right?
It's always minimum 10 minutes late.
Oh, so there's still a chance.
He might hit us with the he hit us with that one time, like we said, let's do Sunday night. And on Monday, he texts the group. He's like, "Hey, are we going on, guys? It's 8:05. Where is everyone?" And we're like, "Royer,
last night, bro.
We texted you, but no, we love Royer. I'm sure he might be here later. If he's not, then we'll roll with the group, man. George, welcome to the BBP, man. You and Aaron been killing the George in the Jungle. So I got to go around the circle. Chad, how was Christmas? How are we, sir?
George was going to say something. Let him talk.
Oh, George, take it away.
No, but if you're going to ask me how Christmas was, it was fine. But I'm still feeling the effects of Christmas Eve. Santa had too much eggnog or whatever the heck was in the glass on the table.
Are you? I take it you're a bourbon in the eggnog guy.
Yeah, well, how about a bourbon in the glass guy? That's There weren't rocks, there weren't water, there was nothing but brown liquid. That's fine. I like drinking it that way.
Yeah,
neat.
I got a bottle of Blanton's Gold though, by the way, which they sell that in the States now, which they just started doing a couple of years ago. Maybe they started doing that, but it's a very limited, and so I luckily got a bottle of that. We'll see when I open it.
Hey, now.
Kelsey got me a bottle of double oaked Woodford.
You can't go wrong with that. That's good.
Wow.
Yeah. Really good late night drink.
She's got a mighty fake ID to get you that, Chad. That's pretty
cool. So how she pulled that off.
You'll love this, George. She went with her aunt to the place that I always go to get bourbon. And she walks in and she says, "I need a bottle for my dad for Christmas." And the guy says, "Who's your dad?" She shows him a picture. He goes, oh yes, my buddy. And he grabbed the double oak Woodford. And I was like, see, he knew exactly.
Very resourceful of her to do that, too.
Yes.
That's the way to. Way to dad's heart.
Dad doesn't need much. Nice bottle of Woodford, and I'm good.
There we go. So Christmas was fine then.
It's all right. Got a new chair.
Oh, that's strong.
It's
comfy.
It's so there's like one. It's got one of those like lumbar support pillows, but you got to get that thing right.
Yeah.
If it's a little too high or a little too low, it'll mess your back up. So I've been kind of adjusting, trying to figure out.
They give you work. I mean, you get those standard office supply chairs that they get. Finally, so many people complained in our newsroom. They finally got new chairs for everyone and actually went a little bit above, the bare minimum, just whatever the hell they had in the warehouse. But it took a while for that to happen. But a great chair is a necessity, not a luxury.
I've had a great one for a long time. It was wearing down.
Yeah, they wear out.
Yeah.
Just like the bodies wear out. The bodies
my fat ass.
You have to have more the older you get.
Right. You got to get a better chair.
Like that thing that looks like it belongs in a space capsule.
Yeah. Aaron, let's take a look at your chair real quick. Now that we're on the topic of chairs. Dang. Whoa, you check out the same little thing going there. No free ads, but GT Player shout out.
Standard gaming chair. It's
Okay.
what they look like.
Okay.
The chair I have sucks.
Yeah.
We're gonna fix that soon.
Yeah, I'm sitting on a kitchen table chair, so.
But you're on the road. You're a beggar. You
You got a road game.
what you get.
The road game.
You
We're
can't tell-
battling through adversity.
You can't tell mom and dad, like, look, I need a chair for when I'm here podcasting.
Yeah, if I told them that, they'd get me some crazy like king chair. So I don't need all that. I'm trying to be
Sounds
humble.
dreadful.
That would be
Come on.
like LeBron, one of the like. Have you
Yeah,
seen my
be sitting
chair,
like that.
Scott?
Got a
No,
floating
LeBron.
crown.
I haven't seen
Yeah.
your chair. Good luck finding it.
Great commercial. But no, but George, I agree with you. So my day job, previous one before I moved on to a new one, I had the same chair for about 5 years, and by the time we got rid of it and got real chairs, you could see exactly where my butt was the entire time. It just my back completely just worn off. It was like, wow, that's literally your full body in the chair. So that's talking chairs on the BVP and George in the Jungle crossover. Let's go ahead and pass down to Aaron. Aaron, sir, how are we? How's Christmas, dude?
Christmas is good. Actually, I got some Bearcat Legos. I haven't put them together yet, but it's a Lego rendition of Nippert Stadium, and also they kicked in a free Lego Bearcat.
Really? That's
Yeah, so I'm gonna. I guess because how long it took, they kicked in the free Lego Bearcat. So I'll have to put those together before the next show and have those.
They could go on that desk behind you.
Yeah, probably right there on the desk.
Yeah,
I mean, it's your controller spot, so
we'll see.
you got to come up with something else.
I mean, the controller can go in here. No big deal.
Okay.
There we
All
go.
right.
Looks nice. Looks nice. Well,
I know the importance of that controller spot. Like, that's where it goes. That's where I put it every day. That's where it goes.
and it's not there afterwards. You're a little concerned.
Well, then you're looking for 5 minutes. Where the hell is the controller?
Probably somewhere under the chair, maybe.
Or right next to you because you just set it down next to you instead of the
In a
spot
different
it's supposed
place.
to go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So you look for it for 5 minutes because you don't know where the hell it is.
We've been there. We've been there. Well, you know what? Chris is done. You know, I was obviously here in Florida, and one of the beach locales that we were at, the establishment was still playing Christmas music. So how long can Christmas music go past Christmas Day? Is it until New Year's?
Yeah, I think
New
it's New Year's.
years. Some people go the 12 days. I could do that, but yeah, once the day after New Year's hits, it's time to move on. You know, then it's basketball season really kicks in, and you know, football playoffs in the NFL are kind of, there's a lot of good stuff goes on, even though it's cold and ugly after the very first of the year.
Amen. But I heard that Christmas music. I was like, wow, it's still Christmas. Let's go. No slowing down. Got to keep rolling.
What's
But
the temperature down there where you are? Because I mean, we have seasonably or unseasonably warm weather up here.
yeah, so it's kind of weird. It's like, so I'm from Indianapolis, so the weather on Christmas Day was somewhat similar to, or Christmas Eve, I guess, was somewhat similar to down here. Like today, the high was 74, pretty cloudy, had some sunspots, but like Thursday this week is supposed to get down to like 64 as the high, which I'd like get down to, but still, it's, you know, somewhat
So
cooler. Not too bad though. Not too bad. Get some golf in. We'll
Absolutely.
survive.
So do
We'll
you do
survive.
the Cocoa Beach Country Club, which is actually it's like the music course down there, right?
Oh, dude, I've walked that, and beautiful views, and it's got what 3 different courses right on it. It's yeah. I mean, you go on, and I rent clubs more often than not, and by now whenever I buy around, they pretty much tell me, all right, here's your clubs going out, and then slug
Last
some
time I was down there, I
beers
ripped
again.
my back and had to quit my round. I was really PO'd about that.
Oh, it's well, last time I was out, I saw a giant alligator, and I almost did the same doggone thing, trying to run away. I got a little nervous.
Cool with that either.
No, not cool with it at all. But we survived, and we're here to talk. The year 2023 in review. But before that, we got to give shout outs to a couple of people who were there for us all throughout 2023. Big thanks, big love, big hugs to my boy Danco Joe over at Danco Transmission Auto Care. And normally I do a weird segue involving some sort of a car or a vehicle or a crash or a pothole. Today I'm just going to give love,
Nice.
Happy holidays to Danco Joe. Head on over to Danco Transmission Auto Care. Get a little, fixing, little $10 off an oil change, 10% off of fixing. Mention the BBP. Mention George in the Jungle. Mention George Vogel. Mention Aaron. Get Danco Joe hook you up. And Danco Transmission Auto Care. Love you. Thanks for being there all throughout the year. Aaron, you got to read for the little carryover of the both pods.
Do our sponsor on our George in the Jungle is Remington Tavern. Remington Tavern can be found at 8892 Glendale Milford Road, 45140, where they have a daily happy hour from 3 to 7 p.m., $5 Woodford Wednesdays. You can also find them on Instagram at Remy Tav, that's REMITAV Cincy, and follow them on Facebook. We do appreciate Remington Tavern as our sponsor.
And if you go, you might even see George there.
Yeah, you may see me there. You'll see that Bearcat ticker behind me there fairly soon, I hope. The owner just has to put it up when he takes ownership of it here.
Not the owner of Team Ticker, the owner of Remington Tavern.
Correct. Yeah. Team Ticker does not come out and install these things for you, but they do everything else.
There we go, man.
They probably would install them if you needed help, but I don't think anyone needs help with them. They're pretty
It's literally 10 minutes tops. It's so easy.
Right.
I mean, some of the other fan bases, they might need to send the installer with it, but us Bearcat fans, we can get it figured out. There's no doubt.
West Virginia hasn't launched yet, Brent. Thumb down.
I know. I was gonna slide them. I was gonna mention it, but we got them coming up in basketball, and those are some wins that we need to have. No need to add any extra bulletin board material there. So
I think those things are cool, though. That's a cool product. I'm rather impressed with them.
So you got one for Christmas, I'm guessing, George?
Well, I didn't, but it'll be at Remington Tavern. So
George gifted one for Christmas.
Yeah, I gifted
to Remington Tavern.
Gifted one to the sponsor.
There we go.
And so, I might get a free shot in return. We'll see.
Hey,
better
maybe a free night of drinks, I'd say, would be for the ticker.
I'd go for that. That would work.
All right. Just invite Aaron or Chad when you're there for that night and just be able to rock.
Take the whole game.
But since we last spoke, obviously the whole ordeal about last week was signing day in football. Wednesday obviously was that big day, and probably one of the best podcasts that has ever come out of the BCJ community. Chad, I think you might agree with this. Was the Thursday night BCJ pod? That was simply outstanding. It was some of the best podcast info that I've ever heard. Whenever you have a coach like Zach Grant, who not only does what he does on the surface, but then he opens up, pulls back the curtain and really dives in and gives you an inside look better than any coach has really ever given an inside look. It's pretty spectacular. So anything more?
I don't think we limit it to BCJ, Brent. I think that might be one of the best podcasts ever done in the history of podcasts.
Oh.
The history of ever.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go. Put a stamp on it.
It is one of those things where you get a guy like that on, you never know the first time you have him on how it's gonna, like how deep he's willing to go. And he just grabbed his shovel and said, "Let's start digging."
Yeah. And after revealing as much as he did, who knows if he'll be allowed on again?
That's very true. It's very true.
I mean, he did a phenomenal job of kind of not necessarily exposing, but kind of just unveiling truths that people kind of assumed were already real in the recruiting world, and just he brought a little light to it. I thought a lot of it was eye-opening, and then it also just gives hope to what is to come in the future for the Bearcat football program. With people like him and his staff underneath him in charge of assembling, the team itself. Sure, it's gonna be interesting to see how it all looks coming together. But the way that he spoke, I wouldn't say that there's probably 10 people out there that watch more football than he does.
Right. I think what you walk away with is just faith in the process that they have. It was clear, it was concise, there was no hemming and hawing. There was, it was very specific, very detailed, and he pretty much put it out all on the table.
Yeah, he did. It was beautiful. Anything more on signing day or signing week throughout the last week?
It was pretty much on signing day last week.
Yeah, you had your Christmas Eve
commit for 2025, so it's starting again.
Yeah, I mean they got their third commit for 25, so a corner they really like out of Georgia, 5'11", 180, like 175, 180, I think. You never have enough DBs, so we always joked when Marcus Freeman was here, he would take 22 DBs per class if he could.
Yeah. Well, I think we saw this year why.
Right.
Yeah.
Very
Freeman
true.
was all about. I remember one of the old BCJ pods. Yet again, shout out. Freeman just mentioned how he could recruit. Yeah, if he could recruit just a bunch of athletic safeties, then he thinks that he could mold them into linebackers, defensive ends, cornerbacks, anything he needs to. Just give me the biggest athlete at the safety position throughout the country, and he can
give me all your 6'3", 190 guys, and I'll figure out what to do with them.
Exactly. So, it'd be interesting to see what comes of that class. And as George mentioned, and as you kind of wrapped up, Chad, they added another commit, Patrick Williams, so in the 2025 class. So it'll be fun to see that class as it forms, because this past 2024 class was the first full somewhat year of the recruiting staff being together, identifying and locking down teams. But this is the true full 2-year junior, senior, really breaking things down and putting together a class. So 2025 could be a pretty impressive crop of kids. So something to watch out there.
How about off the topic of recruiting, but old faces, new places. Our guy Mike Denbrock packing his bags, leaving the family, and heading back home to Notre Dame. Not 4 years. This is unprecedented for an assistant. 4 years, $9 million guaranteed.
Well,
it's a lot of bourbon for my guy Mike Denbrock.
That's incredible. And when you think about, this thing has exploded in the last 10 to 15 years on what these guys are making that are not the head coach. You look at those head coaching salaries, but that dude's making more than a lot of Division I head coaches probably. I'm sure he is.
Yeah. He was the OC for one of the most prolific offenses in football history this past year.
And that's where, it's very important, UC taking that plunge with the Big 12 and having those kind of resources to keep up with that, because you just can't keep up with that. If you're not in one of those conferences, it's getting $30 million plus a year in media rights. It's just, you can't do it unless you got, one billionaire booster that just wants to buy their way. But that just doesn't happen anymore. Not like it used to back in the day.
And it's so, the problem now is it's so expensive. A billionaire booster is not really even enough, because you have to do it every year. Like,
correct.
I always say this, like rich people didn't get rich by being stupid.
Right. No one's going to be throwing $25 million at a program every year to keep it afloat.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to, facility upgrades and all that. So thank God that they got in, because, many more years and the damage may have been done. And it's funny, like, people will still ask me, like, well, why'd they go to the Big 12? Because, they're getting their butt kicked there. It's not that hard to figure out, folks.
They didn't have a choice.
You're right. No, you have no choice. None whatsoever. And any choice but the one they made would have been dumb.
Yep. sink or swim scenario. You're sinking
Right.
sinking in any other choice other than the one that was made. So
Correct.
might as
Yeah,
well.
it's fascinating to see what these assistants are making now. God, I should have gone into coaching.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
I was joking with the coach a couple weeks back and talking about all of the portal, NIL, da 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 da. And they're like, all the time that they now have to like just devote to all of this stuff on top of coaching. And he's like, sometimes I don't even know why we put up with this anymore. And I was like, and then you look at your bank account and you're like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
I remembered.
But it takes a staff, as you guys were talking about, keeping up with the high school recruiting, but those guys have to keep up with the portal too. And that's why now you have basically personnel departments at the collegiate level, like they have at the NFL level. Or the one that has to be the hardest is baseball, because you're talking about the whole world you're looking at, guys in the Dominican, Venezuela, Mexico, Asia. I mean, that's got to be crazy. But to be successful in today's college football, you got to be ready for anything. And that takes an entire staff to do that. And it's good to see that, UC does have that in place now.
Yeah. How about this? To fire back, George, I was texting, I've somehow my dumbass over the years has developed a pretty stupid network of people that are in very high places around college sports. Doesn't make any sense, but as you know, if you do it long enough,
Correct.
you'll dumb into a lot of things.
Oh yeah.
And I was exchanging Merry Christmas texts with a friend who is pretty high up in college athletics, and he said, I don't know how you can follow all the recruiting and portal crap. Our business is going to implode, and we're going to have to start over here in another year or so.
Wow.
Yeah.
We all think the first part,
right,
we're going to have to start over. To hear somebody that like has some juice in that world say here in another year or so.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Whoa.
And that's, and I don't know that anyone knows, exactly what it is and when it'll happen, but stuff's happening. And it's happening quick. I mean, with this portal thing and, the transfer rules and I mean, all this other stuff was put on top of it with the COVID year and all that. It's just been, I mean, you talk about a crossword puzzle. It's going to be harder than it is that Nippert Stadium Lego thing Aaron has.
It's only 500 pieces, George. It'll be fine.
Nothing for
only
him.
500.
Nothing for him. But yeah, NIL realignment, the Florida State ordeal this past week, all of that just adds up. It's good. I agree, but to hear that it's going to be sooner rather than later is something that we kind of.
So what do you think?
Though?
Are they going to take? I mean, there's going to be a break off or something.
I think football has to separate.
Yeah, and that's what I think too. And I think it needs to separate and have its own conferences, and then maybe everything else can get back to normal. Where a women's volleyball team isn't traveling from Rutgers to Los Angeles, stuff like that.
Here's the problem I see, George, and I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on this, but you're doing this in reverse with college, because when you start a pro league, you have 8 teams, and then you build to 12, and then you're ready for 16, and then there's 75 probably high major type programs with fan bases and followings and like legit, like they matter. And if you cut them out, you know what you're doing? You're leaving money on the table. You know what these people don't do? They don't leave money on the table.
Right.
So like, that's why I've always said like the NFL model in my brain doesn't work. Because you've got, and just in college football, it's 60 60 probably, like 60 legit franchises,
Right.
that you can't just lop off 28 of them.
No, there's
I mean,
no way you can do that. That's
you
not.
can.
I just don't see that happening though, because
Right.
Look, let's just say they blow Cincinnati out of there. Just say they do, just for this argument's sake. My interest in college football goes way, way down. And I watch a lot of college football. I watch a lot of regional games. I watch a lot of my interest will be gone. I'll be an NFL guy then.
You won't have anything to follow. It won't matter.
Correct. So they're not going to let that happen. There's too much interest. And, you know, it does come down to the money to be made. But when you have all those teams scrumming for the playoffs, all these games matter. It's going to be very interesting. I'm glad this playoff has expanded. I've wanted that for years. I thought they were so stupid holding out so long. And, you know, they do it in the other divisions. It makes sense more. And I know it's like everyone wants every game to matter. It's still going to matter a lot, you know. But I also think it's good that a team can stub their toe in September and maybe even twice and still make it if they're one of the best teams at the end of the season. Yeah. So I think they're heading in the right direction. I just don't want to see them cut out a bunch of teams.
Well, here's the other thing, George, that also never gets talked about this. You think like a Minnesota would probably get lopped off if they went to 30.
Right.
You think the state legislature in Minnesota is just gonna, well, we just killed Madison. Like we just destroyed a town in our state that's important to funding our state. So like that side of it too, they're gonna have to thread a very specific needle, because guess what? State governments and attorney generals right now know this, George. They know they're going to win if they go to court. So they're chomping at the bit for the opportunity to go after political gains.
Right.
You're winning votes.
Not only will they,
Madison, I'm sorry. Minneapolis, Randy. My bad. I meant Minneapolis.
Right. I caught your drift. But yeah, no, they've already done it and they will do it. And you think those people in Washington aren't going to want a grandstand too?
Right.
Every darn one of them is going to want to jump on this if they start, lopping people off. And state land grant universities. You're not going to take the state of Indiana and make them irrelevant in athletics. Right. You know, they would be one that got lopped off, but they're not going to sit idly by. That's not how it works. Right.
Yeah. Well,
fix it with relegation.
Relegation. No. They've already tossed it around a little bit over on the West Coast, man. West Coast has some wild ideas. You heard what Chip Kelly was saying in his post-game press conference this past game. I mean, if he's thinking about it, then coaches all across the country, ADs all across the country, they're thinking about it too. So yeah, it's going to be wild, and the NIL and the transfer portal only adds to it, especially now that the proverbial unlimited transfers is going to be out there, and if things pass, which they probably will, and it's going to be a wild west times 1,000. So
it's
strap in.
Crazy times. Exactly.
Strap in. Speaking of crazy times, George, 2023 was pretty doggone crazy for the University of Cincinnati when it comes to the athletic programs. We are going to do a year in review. No need to touch on basketball. Chad, gonna shout out you and Justin Berg did the nightcap on Friday night following the win, and it was not just a win. Recapping the victory over the Hatters, it was a nightcap that dove all over the place. Eric Hicks references. You got Jason Maxiell references. You got
Berg just having a late night snack on camera while live.
What was that he was munching on?
I had no idea. It was delicious.
Kids get involved.
He was just
kids get involved. Oh yeah, nuts. But yeah, I mean, one thing to highlight: Dan Skillings Jr. Man, 29 points, just out of the blue just completely fixes all of his bad shooting percentages in one night, and before you know it, it's going to be pretty wild final game of the non-conference slate heading into Big 12 play. But we'll touch on that as we look at basketball as well. Let's start with basketball as 2023 in review. Just a few storylines, maybe some fun games, some stats, some things that stick out to each of you guys just when it comes to Cincinnati Bearcats basketball in the year 2023. I'll go down to Aaron and we'll just work our way around. I'm not gonna say it, around the court. How about that?
There we go.
How about that? Chad, you know what I was gonna say. Aaron, you know what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Horn.
Go, Aaron.
Well, I was just going to say that the biggest story for me from basketball would be the Jamil and Aziz getting cleared, transferring in, getting cleared. That's the lowest hanging fruit possible on the biggest story of this season. But it was all consuming for weeks. I mean, every presser seemed that there was another plea by Wes Miller to the NCAA. Like, I don't know what's taking so long, but these kids, it's bothering them. They're on a mental health second transfer, and you're affecting their mental health by not letting them do the thing that they want to do, and that's play basketball for the university that they're taking classes for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, George, what was your thought during that whole thing? Chad, you were obviously heavily involved, right there for the instant response, live nightcap or recap of what was going on. But George, your thoughts?
First of all, how the heck this thing drags into the season is ridiculous. They had plenty of time to figure this out. Plenty of time. They obviously sent out these rules or at least thoughts of what would make a two-time transfer eligible to play right away. And these kids were definitely under the assumption they would fit all that criteria. And then to just sit there and let it flounder and go through Thanksgiving. And, I'm sure those people had a nice Thanksgiving. Their butts should have been in their office getting this figured out. They shouldn't have been left hanging like that all that time. So, I'm glad they got it rectified, but I'm still a little PO'd that by the end of October, they couldn't have had this thing settled. To me, they should have had it settled by the end of September. And I know they had a bunch of football things hanging out there too, but what the hell else do these people do that decide these things? Does anyone know? Like, what in the world's going on? Why can't they get in a room and go case by case and say, here's the deal, blah, 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 da, da, da. No, we're not going to do it. You'll have to appeal. And then get the appeal heard in a timely fashion. It just seemed like there's no rules to this. And that bothers me. And I think it's a black eye for the NCAA, the way they handle all that.
There are rules, they just don't tell anybody. And so they allow this perception to become reality. Mm-hmm. Like, if you would just be open and say, we meet on it, every Thursday or like whatever, and this is how shit is, but they don't have any interest in people knowing how the sausage is made. They don't care. They never have. That's not their job.
Kids either when they leave them hanging when the season's going on.
Right. They answer to the university presidents and their wishes, and that's all they're really concerned with.
Yeah, it's a shame. I'm glad they're figured out, but it should never be this way in the future.
Well, the ability then to even have a waiver adds on to things, because it's like, okay, you make the stance that there are no two-time transfers, but we'll allow you to put in a waiver for this rule, and we'll review it, and eventually we'll probably grant it if you take us. The whole thing is just.
But the thing is, if you listen close enough, you know what you heard? You heard coaches and ADs and administrators and people behind the scenes say something important. The NCAA made it very clear that there was a waiver process, but they were not in the business of granting waivers. And they were going into this thing. Let me see if I can find this text. I might have read this on here before. Somebody that works in the college basketball recruiting world sent this in October. Just an FYI, the NCAA couldn't have been more clear with transfer guidelines. They told all of us very clearly no two-time transfers, and they want to be out of the appeal business.
Huh.
That was the message to schools.
Then where does the gray area come in where schools thought these guys would be able to play?
He said, he continues, the problem was coaches didn't believe them and neither did player advisors. Because now, guess what? We will take you to court and we will win.
Right.
Because they can't win in court. What we are finding out is that all of everything on the NCAA rule books is illegal, technically, in a court of law. And if you challenge it, you will win.
Right. I don't know law enough to get too deep into that, but
Right.
They don't have a leg to stand on when, you know, a coach can have a contract, and albeit there's a buyout in there, but they can leave at the drop of a hat and be recruiting for the other school the next day.
Right.
But yet athletes have to sit out a year. That's kind of a tough one to justify when you get in front of a judge or a jury.
I've known football coaches that have known, like, what the general courtesy in football is you stay through the first signing day, and then if you have a new job, you go to the new job. Well, there have been guys that have known for 2-3 weeks they're leaving as soon as signing day out, you know.
Right.
So guess what they're doing in those 2 to 3 weeks? They're not recruiting for your school.
Correct.
They're cashing checks from your school.
Right.
But they're recruiting for State U 1,400 miles away instead.
Right. Yep.
I know it happens. I mean, I seen it.
And probably help, you know, trying to drag players with them.
Of course.
Right.
Oh, the stories I could tell there, George.
I know. I know. But that makes a business that's dirty enough even dirtier by design. Right. That's just silly.
One of the point of views that I like the most in the whole thing is that, you know, let the players transfer, let them enter the transfer portal, because the coaches are the ones who then have to craft a roster. They don't have unlimited, you know, roster spots. They don't have, you know, unlimited scholarships to hand out to all of these players in the portal. You know, they have to be the ones that can decide then who they want to add. And if they want to add this player to fit them in here or there elsewhere, then do it. There shouldn't be any restrictions on that. And I think people are throwing out the whole, like, okay, well, now our player is going to be able to transfer in December and be able to play in January. And, well, if a coach wants to take on that duty of adding a player mid-year, then sure. Good luck trying to fit them into the rotation and having everyone be happy without things going off the rails.
You know what's crazy, Brent?
What?
In football, that's always already been the case.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, if you played somewhere else,
all right,
and transfer, you can't play in the bowl game, but as soon as you get there, you can start practice.
Right, you can practice, yeah.
Like, you're on the team. Boom.
Yeah, so they were saying like a lot of people aren't, like Lloyd Carr's son up at Notre Dame is participating in bowl practices, and or at least he's just there, and they're saying that he can sling it and he looks great. Well, wish he could get some reps in the game.
I believe, like, once you take finals, like, once finals are done, guys technically are like can start.
Yeah, nuts. George, anything else? Basketball 2023. This can branch all the way back to the Dave DeJulius, Landers, and Ollie era as well.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, the 2 NIT wins were kind of cool, right? That was kind of a high point there. And then I also think I don't want to overlook, but you know, on signing day, getting McKinley and Betsy, I think those are 2 great pickups, and that, to me, you know, while the season hasn't exactly gone the way people want to because of the 2 local losses, Those were two big wins in early November to get them signed.
Oh, absolutely. Chad, you want to roll with it?
I'll go with Dave and Landers, man. Watching those two develop last year, it took a little time for things to kind of click, but watching Landers, seeing a guy that could make perimeter shots at the level he could was a lot of fun to watch. And Dave was a guy that went from struggling here early to, being a guy that people really, and his defense really came a long way. His leadership came a long way. He went through a lot of shit here and, came out on the other side. So yeah, I'll go back to those two guys and give a hat tip to, that last half, January, February of last season, where they both had it cooking pretty good.
I'm gonna hit you guys with some quick hitters and see if you guys remember these moments. One was Victor Locken had 8 blocks on the road at a win at SMU back in January 14th. That was a fun game. Bearcats won that one, kind of a low scoring defensive battle. I think not playing in weird environments in the AAC anymore is another fun thing to think about in the year 2023. The very first day in the year 2023, on January 1st, it was a mid-afternoon game at Temple. Hundreds of fans were at the Little Rock Cross Center, however you say it, watching the Owls take down the Bearcats, and they were cheering like church mice, really getting pumped up there at the Little Rock Cross Center. Well, little did they know Jamil Reynolds on that squad as well. Another one. How about this one? The final game that we played at Tulane, overtime loss, and that was the 90s nudie channels, the really high channels where you can kind of slightly see something cool on your TV screen as it.
I wanted to murder somebody that day.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Oh, horrible.
It was Flow Hoops. Remember that?
Yeah.
Flow Hoops was better.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. This one, the shot would go up and you'd be like, all right, is it going at basket 1 or basket 2? And then,
the one in the middle, Brent. It's always the one in the middle.
Thank you, LeBron. And then, of course, you've got David DeJulius kisses center court after a career best 30 points, 6 assists in the win against SMU. Dominated them at Fifth Third Arena. It's like a 25-point win. But also, that was the continuation of. Do you remember David DeJulius had like 10 straight games where he scored like 15 plus points and had like 6 plus assists, led the country in that stat over and over again. Just a really cool end to his career. And then, of course, George mentioned the NIT games. And that final loss came at Utah Valley, where we all got introduced to a man by the name of Aziz Bandago. So just a cool finale there. And I'm going to throw this one out there. I know, Aaron, this is right up your alley, but how about the Jumpman reveal with the blocks coming back, the jersey reveal? That was super, super exciting.
Agreed. I mean, it's a nostalgic throwback for most of our past. And I'm wearing the Nike right now. Chad's got the Nike, or had the Nike on. I think he's lost the hoodie. Oh, there it is. All right.
Hey.
But yeah, we were all excited.
A win for Brendel and BCJ as well when that happened.
I'm a terrible uniform person, an apparel person.
I just don't really care.
You don't?
No.
I don't. And
Kids do
about this uniform.
I know.
I don't even notice.
I am definitely not old man yells at cloud about it. Like, I get it. Like, obviously, if there's as much money being spent in that industry as there is, it's a big deal.
Oh, there's something to it. I just
don't care.
doesn't work. Yeah. And it's like the whole shoe thing too.
Yeah.
I just go get a pair of damn shoes. And then part of it probably is old man yelling at the clouds, because when I grew up, you had one choice: Converse All-Stars, right?
Oh, yeah.
Healthy has a pair.
You got white or you got black. That was it.
Then Jordan ruined it all.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's I know a lot of good people and a lot of fun people that are into that stuff and all that, but man,
Yeah, it's just not me. It doesn't move my needle.
But I mean, look at how
But you've got fresh UC gear on every show, George.
What's
Right.
that?
You've got fresh UC gear on every show.
But see what this is? Somewhere on there. It's old.
The old armor of under.
I just wear stuff till it falls apart. That's my problem.
We need to get you one of these.
Same. I mean,
this is what we got to get you, George.
Well, yeah, I'll wear that.
This is Under Armour too. I don't know where the thing on insignia is.
Yeah.
Aaron and I are up with the times.
But
actually, no, this one
help me here because I don't get the whole like with the kids and the program stuff, but it's a big deal from that standpoint with recruiting and all that. Correct?
Right.
Yes,
it is
huge.
It is.
Basketball, it's important.
Yeah,
way more so than football. But even in football, kids want to wear Nike, man. They want to get Nike gear. That nobody's like, man, I gotta go give me some of them Under Armour dry fits.
No, I know, but they're really big at golf courses. I mean, old man golf gear. You go to any golf course in this area, and you see a bunch of guys my age wearing Under Armour hats and shirts. It's unbelievable. Like a lot. There's a lot of Titleist hats and Callaway hats, but there's a lot of Under Armour stuff.
By the way, George, at some point here after the calendar flips, we're doing a story with Doug at the new golf practice facility. You want in?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keegan's gonna do some written stuff, but I think it'd be fun to chop it up and maybe do a little video special on the new golf facility.
Doug supplied me with a lot of golf gear over the years because I'd go down, he'd have all that stuff at his golf range down in Burlington, and they would get the new stuff in. And if I showed up on the right day, he's like, hey, come in here and grab as many shirts as you want. You want some of these hats too? I'd walk out there with all kinds of stuff, man. It was
Doug's the best. Doug has been a friend of the network for a while. We love him.
Good man.
George, you're rocking all Peter Millar out on the course, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Top flight.
There we go. Top
flight gear.
Hitting the Pro V1s.
Anyway, my game's all top flight.
There we go. Yep, Top Flight XL 2000, man. How about
honest to God, though, this is no joke. Just a couple months ago, and I was struggling coming back from these surgeries and stuff playing. I wasn't playing very well. And my wife comes home with this like 24 box of balls. They're Top Flights. And so I'm like, I can't get caught dead playing these things. And they're like the neon ones, pink, blue. And I'm like, I can't. So I go out with Gamble so I can use them with him, right? Because he doesn't know. I mean, he
doesn't care.
And so all of a sudden I started hitting the ball great. So I played these things at the end of the year, these neon bright freaking Top Flights.
Easier to find your ball.
Oh, yeah. I lost almost all of them, though, when it was all said and done.
Oh, yeah.
But because it was a Top Flight, there wasn't stress on hitting. You didn't care if you lost it or not.
Right.
Yeah, and you didn't spend much time looking for it. It's like
nobody's stealing them either.
I got 25 of them in this box she bought for $10.
Yet another just notch in the psychological thriller that is golf, man. I tell you what, take away on the tee box, you're hitting a Pro V1. You're just like, all right, just come on now. Spray it right, and you instantly are like, damn it.
Oh, I know. It's a brand new one. You are definitely tight like this.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Just hit $12 into the woods on one swing.
I know.
It is. A lot like gambling, so it's fun. How about the what was it, like a 32-3 run against Georgia Tech in Aziz's first game?
That was fun.
That was that was a high point, no doubt. I actually have that written down here. Georgia Tech game.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Probably the best win of the year so far.
Yes. Without a doubt.
There we go.
They had 2 other chances to top it, and it didn't come out right. But Let's not dwell on that.
Could have used a 30-5 run in both of those games.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. God, I wish.
Still might not have beat Dayton.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That was
Man.
pretty.
I did listen to your guys' George in the Jungle last week, and yeah, that Dayton game, whew, jeebies all over again.
Not great, Bob.
A lot of stuff fixed though in that last Stetson.
Yeah.
I thought. Now it was Stetson, but still, at least I didn't see Vic out there, shooting for stuffed animals.
Yeah. The claw game, just over and over again. Could never win that damn Bears.
Like a stuffed elephant or something if he made a 3 in that game. Just kept launching. It's like, dude, this isn't the carnival. Get your butt down low.
And those are the types of metaphors you can look for every Tuesday night at 9:00 on this channel on George in the Jungle, presented by Remington Tavern.
I love it. I love it.
Oh boy.
Then there's Skillings, Jameel. I mean, there's plenty. Obviously, this year we're in the thick of things. Evansville coming up this Friday. Man, it's just weird, and I don't want to get in a whole deep dive about the current team because we got to talk football and then a quick touch on Bengals and Reds. But man, this year it's so many parts, so many pieces. Just if they can somehow figure out a way to get the right ones rolling at the right time, then some good things can happen. But things are about to heat up real quick when that new year turns. So we'll have to see there. Anything else basketball in 2023, guys? Hopefully 2024, nothing but better. That'd be the big time hope.
Big 12 game number 1 coming up in a week and a half or whatever.
Yes, sir. That's right.
8:00 on a Saturday night, right?
Yeah.
Always fun.
That will be
Always
fun.
It'll be something. BYU's really good.
Yes, good team.
You're going to have to play real well, and this team has not been good on the road, and BYU has been a monster at home. Like that one's
up to number 4 in Ken Palm.
Yeah,
number 4.
BYU's number 4.
That's right.
Jeez, Pete.
And they're great on both ends. Like it's not just a team that's like gotten hot for a couple week stretch. They play great defense and great offense. Mark Pope is turning out to be a hell of a coach. Mark Pope is turning out to be a hell of a coach.
Truly is. Speaking of hopefully things get better in 2024, let's rehash the year 2023 for the Cincinnati football program. I mean, gosh. I mean, this was one of the wilder years. If you truly think about it, because I'm going to throw something at you guys that's kind of crazy to break down. So
crazy.
So
they didn't
obviously
George
March 1st, Brad Glenn was announced as the offensive coordinator for the Bearcats. March 1st. So Chad, you just had him on the pod discussing the commits for the offense things. He hasn't even been a part of the staff for a full calendar year. It's just the whole thing is just mind-boggling. Truly breaking it down. Not even take away the whole calendar year. Not even 10 months. So it's
9 months.
It's been a strange, rough string of events. But hey, I want to mention one other staff because we obviously love the whole staff. But Nico Palizzetti, introduced friend of the pod.
Hey, Nico.
Yeah, Nico. Strength coach, strength aficionado, Nico Palizzetti, introduced on January 4th. So shouts to Nico there early on in the football tenure in 2023. Aaron, let's hear some storylines, some highs, some lows, peaks, valleys. Bearcat football.
They were the first ones to dip their toe into the Big 12.
I
guess women's soccer may have beat them to it. But football was shortly thereafter. So that was our first real taste of the Big 12, if you will.
It didn't taste good.
I think that was probably it was not a great taste, but a taste nonetheless.
Yeah, a taste. But still, you gotta tip the cap off a little bit though to the fact that, yes, it was a rough start to the year. To the Big 12 slate, obviously, as I'm pulling up the schedule real fast. But that first game, the Big 12 game, yes, it came after the tough loss against Miami, but that atmosphere for Oklahoma, big noon kickoff, Big 12 in town, that's probably the coolest atmosphere, coolest vibes I felt inside of Nippert pregame, probably maybe ever. Up there with it is like AAC championship game against Houston, and maybe when game day was in town against Tulsa in that 2021 year. But just the vibes out of there on the field before the game and out on the tailgate field was pretty electric, a cool feeling. So it was a loss, yes, but the fan base is certainly locked in. George, 2023 football
that was
season.
a moment that was like big time football's arrived for real. Like this has happened, and that was really, really cool. And enjoyed the Oklahoma fans. The game, whereas UC didn't score a lot of points, but it was a fun, competitive game, and they hung in there. But the high point for me was walking out of that stadium in Pittsburgh with a win over the Panthers, 2-0, new coach. Things seem to be clicking. You're thinking, God dang, they just beat a pretty good team on the road. They got a shot to hang in there this year. Little did I know Pitt was going to be as horrendous as they turned out to be.
What?
And I didn't know UC was going to turn out to be as bad as they were. So that was a high point for me, being at that game. And then, I mean, golly, those Pitt fans were so depressed after that game. It was kind of fun just going into a bar or two and having the UC gear on and toasting to a win. And that was a lot of fun. So I would put that in there too. And I'll tell you what else was a big point for me, a big highlight for me, was when they had those 16-ounce Cincy lights at Nippert. That was cool.
Oh,
that was cool when I saw those. It's like, yes, sir. So there were some high points. They were all in September, but there were some high points.
Those Cincy lights flow down in all different stages of the games: happiness, sadness, joy, cheering, depression. But yeah, Cincy lights flow like water there in Nippert Stadium, that's for sure. George, where'd you go after the Pitt game? I was there too. And Aaron was there as well. I tell you what, man. First, Emory Jones sets records. It ties the school record with 7 touchdowns, 7 combined touchdowns in the win against EKU to open up the year. The offense is explosive, but it's just defense is dominant. And then you win on the road at Pitt. Like, gosh, I remember just afterwards just feeling like, you know what? We might be pretty doggone good, man.
That's what I said. Yeah. It's like, hey, it's coaching change. Why not? It feels like this guy, has it going. And I hit this hotel bar just right down the street because I couldn't get an Uber or anything to pick me up. So we ended up in this hotel bar, and it was cool. Yep. And there were a lot of the Steelers played the next day at home. So there were a lot of God, who did they play?
49ers.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. So there were a lot of 49er fans in this bar too. And it's like, what are you guys doing here? It's like, I'm just over here. Yeah. That town was hopping. They had that big concert on, was it Friday night? There was a concert in town. I forget who it was. It was somebody big.
It was,
Then they had the UC game Saturday night and the Pittsburgh Niners game on Sunday afternoon. Big weekend in Pittsburgh.
Gosh. Yeah. And they were underdogs in that game. So me and all my buddies hammered the money line. We were like, screw it.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, they pull it out. And it's just like, you know what? Maybe Emory is pretty doggone good. And you know what? Different things happen for different reasons. And obviously the statistics that the team put up throughout the entire year were pretty bonkers. And the fact that they didn't result in wins is still as puzzling of a thing out there.
You look at those rushing stats and you just can't. It just does not compute. And, a couple other highlight, Corey Kiner emerging the way he did and playing the way he did. Luke Kandra getting third-team AP All-American and landing on some other All-American teams. couple of hometown guys, and Corleone announcing he's coming back. So there's some other highlights after September, I guess, that I can point to as well.
Absolutely. Chad? We lose Chad?
No, I'm here. You got me?
Yeah, we got you.
I'm here. I got nothing. It wasn't a fun. I don't know. A lot of what happened in a bad time for me, and then just as I was like getting back to normal, they stunk, and it created work unhappiness. So I got nothing. Like I do have hope for this staff in the future, but I think there was a realization that like this certainly isn't, for guys on the roster, this certainly isn't 2021 anymore. And
Right.
Things aren't coming easy because we are just so physically more gifted than everybody we're playing.
Yeah.
And there was dissension, and a lot of the stories from behind the scenes weren't good. You could feel kind of the break that was coming that we kind of saw as the transfer portal opened. I do think probably the highlight for me is seeing them retain a core.
Yeah.
Like that there is a group of there is a leadership structure that now is established. We don't know what type of leaders those guys are yet. And it might not matter. But at least we're seeing heading into year 2, you've got Corey Kiner, you've got the offensive line, you've got Dante Corleone, you've got Mason Fletcher. Like, there is this hierarchy that you have to have in football. And I don't think it was here last year. I think there were some guys that were supposed to be at the top of that pyramid that weren't up to the task, be it on the field or off. And I think the signal. Okay.
Let me ask you this: at the end of the season, because you talk about that dissension and stuff, and we all heard about this stuff, and like,
yeah,
I'm hearing these horror stories about what's going to happen at the end of the season. I didn't see that mass exodus of frontline players that I thought I was going to see.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like that, they established like, okay, we've settled the ship in a lot of ways. Like it's still, they have to play better. Like,
and there's no doubt there was dissension too, but I don't think it was coming from some of the spots of the, a lot of the perceived team leaders that were still here that
right.
Some of us may have been led to believe.
Yeah.
I think the transfer portal entries at the top of the roster or the top middle of the roster were very telling. How about that?
Right. I would agree.
Yeah, I think also, as you guys are kind of mentioning, the fact that, the promise leading into next year where, you saw a lot of people mentioning buy-in and, these catchphrases, culture and all in and those who stayed will win, trust the process, all these little, catchphrases when it comes to, a tough season to, stay true and hold steady. It's, you look and you see at return a whole offensive line. Sure. There's, that goes into the whole thing of, how are you going to be if is the whole offensive line good to return the whole offensive line? Then you look down and you see a couple of really, really strong pieces. And maybe, you just need that other missing piece on the offensive side. And,
or you need some development, which is what happens with offensive linemen.
Right. I mean, Candor with All-American nods. And before you know it, maybe year 2 in the system for Gavin Gerhardt, for D'Artagnan Tinsley. Maybe all of a sudden they're getting nods.
Tinsley had a quiet, great year. They've got the tackles have to improve.
Right.
They do, but that continuity is huge.
Yep. Yes, it is.
And I think they have a really good O-line coach. I think Nick Cardwell is really good.
He's a star. You saw all the new commitments, like mentioning him, like Marquez Parker mentioning him, like I'm going to give Coach Cardwell fits. You just know then he's put an impact on kids that are even outside of that offensive line room. So that's really cool to see. But yeah, I think the staff has done a good job with the core believing and buying in, and then on top of it, you've seen every new commitment out of the portal and through high school mention the buy-in as well. So and then of course Zach Grant on the BCJ pod, shouts to that last Thursday. Listen to it if you haven't. He kind of talked about how he's quietly very excited about the direction that things are going. So
it's also the highest rated class that they've ever recruited. So many people I feel like have just forgotten that or just not computed that into the fact that there's no way that this team can improve. No, there is a way, and it's through getting the right kids here from high school.
Right.
And you're doing that with the highest rated class ever at Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I also will say the fans will love Nick Cardwell because he caught me kind of doing one of these one day at practice, like kind of lean back for a second. And he has not let it go to this day. You awake? Hey, like doing warm-ups, like, jogging and whatever, where the coaches are kind of mingling around, and he'll see me and be like, "You gonna stay up for practice today?" I'm like, "Man, you caught me like leaning my head back for 1 second of one practice, and now I'm the guy that's asleep at practice."
He
won't let it go.
Tagged with something like that, and you're stuck, man.
Yeah.
Previous staff used to do that to you too, Chad.
Oh, they. George, did you ever hear what Luke did to me?
When?
So right before COVID, remember they had those 3 spring practices, like right before COVID hit, and then everything shut down.
Yes.
So at one of those spring practices, I think it was Bruno LaBelle. Like, how tight the bubble was and where we had to stand on the sidelines.
Right.
And Bruno LaBelle is like going for like a corner route like this, right? And coming straight for us. And I'm not about to get run over by a 6'4", 260-pound dude that's not bracing for impact. Like, he's just going to run me over.
Correct.
So I get out of the way. And he almost runs into the bubble. Like, they get him right before he like crashes into the bubble. I don't know, like 3 weeks into COVID, 3 weeks into lockdown, I get a text from Luke. That is the practice tape from the Eye in the Sky.
Oh, that's great.
And he hits me with, "We're going to have to work on your commitment to the program, to make sure guys don't crash in to the side of the bubble."
Yeah. So he crashes into your old ass?
Right. I'm supposed to get in his way and slow him down.
Right.
I was like, you have read me wrong, sir.
Yep. I'm hightailing, I'll tell you that.
I am out of the way. No, sir. As soon as I get wind that a guy is coming straight for me, nope.
Yeah,
nope.
I'm right there with you, man.
You've seen Slaughter do it. You saw JT do it. Like,
those
dudes will stand in and take a hit. And I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Exactly. No, not me.
There will be other shots. Like, it might be a great shot that you missed, but guess what? You're going to get another one.
Correct.
It'll be fine. There will be shots good enough to put on the news, sir.
Right.
And you will not have to have meniscus surgery.
Yes. Or a cast.
Right. Got some quick hitters for you guys.
Mark just had meniscus surgery, so I, gotta get Slaughter a little love.
There you go. Quick hitters, real fast. All the way back in February 9th to be exact, Sauce Gardner named NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year.
We might have another one coming up.
Hey, wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be amazing? Undrafted all the way to Rookie of the Year. And then 3 days after Sauce was named NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, the Super Bowl turns into the Kelsey Bowl. Travis Kelce versus Jason Kelce. Brian Cook also on the roster for the Chiefs, starting at safety for the Super Bowl winning Chiefs. And then, of course, the New Heights podcast, only second behind the BCJ podcast family and number one most listened to sports podcast in the country. So shouts to BCJ, New Heights, get your weight up. And then, of course,
they don't have anything on the Zach Grant episode.
Oh, no way. No way. No way. Or the BVP George of the Jungle crossover episode. No way.
Right.
No way. And then of course, the entire and Aaron is away because he knew I was going to head this way. The entire Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift series of fun events this whole entire season. Oh, George left too. Chad's out. Aaron's out. Wow. Okay.
I'm in. I'm down. Taylor,
3-5 and 1 touchdown since that whole tragedy was announced.
Yeah, but they've been dating all season, so it literally has nothing to do with it, Aaron.
That was when they announced it.
Since then, kept it quiet.
3-5, 1 touchdown.
And
get your head in the game, Travis.
It might also be because the local YMCA has better wide receivers than the Chiefs right now.
Oh, we saw Rashee Rice. We know what he's all about.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, he was a target man at SMU. I tell you what, Chad called him Rashee Rice. He was pretty good though. He was pretty good. But yeah, I tell you what, dude, Taylor Swift, Person of the Year, Time Magazine. She's really getting things rolling in the right direction. You know what? I just cannot wait to see the first basketball game that Travis and T Swift are there wearing the jerseys that Travis gifted Taylor. Some people are speculating it might be that road game at the Fog against Kansas.
That story was so wrong.
Oh, don't hurt my heart. Don't hurt my heart.
There were jerseys being made at Cook's for Travis and Taylor. It wasn't Travis buying her a jersey. It was going to be a gift. And then the seamstress spoiled the gift from somebody to Travis and Taylor.
Oh. Dang.
That's just what really happened.
Was Wes pretty angry about that?
Wes didn't have anything to do with it.
I'm just joking. That'd be pretty cool. Cool twist, though. But yeah, obviously the whole Bearcats in the NFL thing, this entire past season has been pretty awesome to watch. Obviously the Dez thing going on in Atlanta didn't quite work out the way all Bearcat fans hoped it would, but Jerome Ford stepping up in Cleveland, Trey Tucker having that wild game a week ago, Ivan Pace, we've already mentioned it, Alex Pierce having a couple splashes here and there, Tyler Scott putting up some stats here and there, and then of course the Kelce's and Sauce doing their things. It's been fun to track the Bearcats in the NFL throughout this entire season. Just another prelude to the squad. And of course, the groundbreaking for the indoor practice facility. Another final thing in the year 2023. That was March or May 23rd. Groundbreaking. Yeah. So that'll be exciting to see as that continues to develop. Anything else for the Bearcat football program in 2023?
I feel bad for Jason Kelce, though, because the brothers jet setting, and then he's on the bottom of the pile of every tush push Philly runs. I mean, he is on the bottom every time you run that play. He's down there sprawled out like this at the bottom with this massive humanity on top of him. That's a hell of a way to make a living, I'll tell you that. But it works.
He's also the reason that play works and nobody else can do it as well as Philly does it, because he's a missile. You cannot get
unbelievable how they can do that and how effective it is for them when you compare it to some other ones. Of course,
Well, go watch Jason, George.
The Giants, everyone got hurt trying to do it.
They can't. Nobody can get under him. Low man wins, and he is. He's the low man every time.
It's crazy. It is crazy.
Aaron, you about to add something?
I was just going to say, works 80% of the time, every time.
Yeah,
92% of the time, every time.
And you know what? Yesterday, Jason got his his helmet completely ripped off during a tush push. I was like, geez, that looked like it hurt. But yeah, shouts to them. It's been a fun future. I think is I'm getting more and more optimistic. I know that's a shock for all you BCJ fans to hear out there, but I'm getting more and more optimistic in the Bearcat football program as the days pass. I'm going to pass it over to the.
Let's timestamp real quick.
Yeah, let's timestamp.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly, low minimum next day deliveries. They provide a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for your first 20% or for 20% off your first month of purchases. George, we need to get the Quick Paper Supply people in touch with the Remington Tavern people.
I was just thinking that. You read my mind. There will be a phone call after this.
That we'll have Quick Paper Supply there. We'll have the team ticker there.
Where? Yeah.
Turtles Brew.
Maybe we'll see if we can get some Turtles Brew there.
Yes, we could do that.
Sponsors helping sponsors, baby. Friends helping friends.
You know, what it's all about, baby. We're a community.
Community.
Synergy going.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But as we do a quick look now at Bengals and Reds, I'm going to pass it over to Aaron and the George and the Jungle crew, and I will be here, and Chad will be here as well. But Aaron, go ahead and take it away. Bengals and Reds 2023 in review.
Yeah, the Bengals certainly had some big things happening in the last year, as we discuss usually on our Tuesday nights here on this channel, where you can catch us every week 9 p.m. on George in the Jungle. But I think the biggest thing that happened in the last year, George, correct me if I'm wrong, is extending Joe Burrow and getting that contract out until 2029. He becomes the highest paid player in the NFL, and despite being injured this season, more often than not, how it feels anyway, very, very important for this team to extend him.
No doubt about it. That was the big question mark, and when were they going to do it? How are they going to do it? They got that sorted out. Now there's other things that have to be sorted out, but that was the big one. That was a big one, and just a shame that another injury has bitten him. And that's the concern going forward.
It's fair to call him injury prone.
I don't want to say that. Because it's not his fault. None of this. I mean, every one of these things have been, their own little item. It's not like some lingering issue that's going to bite him the rest of his career, but some guys just can't avoid that injury bug. And we all cross our fingers that that's not the case here, because that's an awful big contract to have a guy that's sitting on the bench.
What was the biggest moment though for you, George?
You go back to last year and the playoff wins and all that, and that again, that was a lot of fun, making that run to the AFC Championship. Definitely should have won that game in Kansas City, but that Kansas City team was a little different than the one we've been seeing here lately in Arrowhead. And I'm going to say what was probably the most fun for me, and it's recent, was the Jacksonville game, where all of a sudden Jake Browning turns into a viable NFL quarterback and reels off 3 straight wins with 3 darn good performances. Gave them a chance, and they still have a chance to make the playoffs this year. Now, this last game Saturday in Pittsburgh, not his finest moment. That throw in the end zone, and he was trying to clear the end zone with that pass, because I'm like, there is no way in hell
throw it out of bounds
to just throw a ball up for grabs like that where he can't see. Right. Should have been out of bounds. He said he thought he had it cleared to the back of the end zone, through the back of the end zone, but it wasn't even close to that. I mean, he was a good 5 yards plus short of that. But we'll see how they react this week in Kansas City. The Chiefs are very gettable. They've lost 3 in a row at home. Their last 3 home games they've lost. You mentioned the record here recently for the Chiefs, and if you guys got a chance to see that game, was it yesterday?
They were awful.
They were
terrible.
awful. They were terrible.
And the Raiders are not good.
The defense is playing well. They're deep, but they were playing.
Defense is good.
Yeah,
their defense is good,
which is you don't think about that with Kansas City. So that's going to be an interesting, monumental game this week. But given the way this season has gone, and you're looking for high points, I think Jake Browning stepping up when he did on that road game on that Monday night in Jacksonville was huge.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a Monday night.
Yeah, it was.
It was. The Bengals currently sitting at 8-7. If they win the next 2 games, I believe the New York Times projections has them as a 92% into the playoffs. So obviously some certain things needed to happen this past week and did as Houston loses and I forget what other teams needed to lose. But it was just, I think 3 teams needed to lose for the Bengals to be in this type of position, and all 3 teams did indeed lose.
Yeah, they still they don't completely control their own destiny, but they're pretty darn close. I think if they get to 10 wins, they're in.
They're not getting to 10 wins.
Who are they going to lose to, the Chiefs or the Browns?
Probably both.
The Browns might be sitting people.
What in the world is it? I mean, that's a whole nother show. Joe Flacco, are you kidding me?
Elite. Guy's an elite quarterback. What can you do?
When did that happen?
Aaron, are you thinking like Colts, Broncos, them losing as well?
Texans, there's Texans scenarios.
Texans,
like there's
Colts.
Look at how many teams are at 8 wins, 7,
Jaguars.
8, 9 wins. Like, yeah.
Jaguars.
So,
oh man, they're another team that has been tanking too.
The shame for the Bengals is having that crappy AFC record.
The shame for the Bengals is the fact that the AFC team to emerge might be not Kansas City this year. If Joe Burrow is healthy, this is the year that you might not even have to play Kansas City to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Aaron, I'm going to be honest. I don't think their defense is too bad. I don't think
Cincinnati?
it mattered this year with Joe. Yeah, like their defense
the Bengals,
is
well, and the injuries they've had too.
Yeah, no Reader.
It's caught up to them a little bit.
But they had Reader for a long time, and they still they've had major issues all year.
Oh,
moving on from your safeties.
Saturday.
The punter
Trust me, Najee Harris has not had a good year, and he looked like a pretty good running back in that game.
Yeah,
right.
Everyone on the Steelers looked good.
George Pickens was
people forget.
vintage.
People forget why we were supposed to hate George Pickens.
Yeah,
like 200 yards in the Peach Bowl.
It's crazy.
No Sauce Gardner on him.
He had like 200 yards last week.
I know, but that's like we saw this. Sauce goes out and Pickens has 200 yards. Like he was the only offense Georgia had in that entire game. And
that game, I just
I know. I'm just saying, people forget that's that guy that's he was making those diving catches. JT Daniels would just heave it.
Right.
And Pickens we had 2 of those where he laid out like full extension.
It was
good
defense. Yeah.
Better defense than he saw Saturday.
Yeah.
If Cincinnati somehow sneaks into the playoffs with 1 win in the division, that's absolutely insane.
That is insane. And they were swept in the division back in 2002 when they were 2-14. I don't think it's happened since. There's depending on what Cleveland's got to play for at the end of the year, and they've got to also be right now, and the Bengals don't.
They'd also be 5-7 in conference if they made it in with 2 more wins, which is equally insane.
But again, like I said last week, they should automatically qualify. They're 5-0 in the NFC. They should be in the AFC bracket.
They could win the Super Bowl. If they just get to the Super Bowl, the NFC can't beat them.
I know. It's great. Hell, they beat the 49ers.
Everyone from this division beats the 49ers, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, that
except for
seems to be the
Pittsburgh.
case. My God, what the Ravens did last night was impressive. Ooh.
I know. I agree.
In any case, and then just switching gears real quick, George, if we talked about the Cincinnati Reds, the year in review for the Cincinnati Reds, two things stand out for me. Number one, just the rotation of rookies. I've never seen a season like this in baseball in my entire life. I hope I never have to see it again, truthfully. But the way that everything in La La Land is going right now, this might be just the way that things are in baseball if you're not a top market team.
Right.
But what we saw these Cincinnati Reds do with all of these rookies was promising for the future. And the other thing was just ripping off what did it end up being? 13 in a row? How many?
11, maybe.
11 in a row?
It was 11.
An 11 game winning streak in there somewhere.
It was 11.
Started sometime in June. It wasn't long after, because Ellie came up June 6th.
12.
Did they get 13? I thought it was 11, but
I'm looking it up. It looks like it was 12.
it may have been 12.
It wasn't Ellie at the center of it all.
Oh, he was on fire.
Yeah.
That's when he, had that one play. I remember it was a Saturday afternoon that he scored when they did some crazy stuff. I mean, he was that whole May, McLean comes up and then Ellie comes up, and it was
Hitting for the cycle.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
in those black uniforms, those are nice. Yeah.
That was a lot of fun to watch them, and you throw in the way Steer's playing, Friedel's playing, CES and Marte come up towards the later part of the season, and look like they may belong as well. We'll see how it pans out this offseason. It's going to be real interesting what they end up doing because they still have too many of them. But man, that was a lot of fun to watch those young kids. That was by far and away for me the highlight.
Abbott pitching.
Yep.
Just another one. There were so many. It was hard to keep track of them all.
May 5th was cool too. They had me out on the field. And I was supposed to throw out the first pitch, but my nephew had to do it because I had that surgery. And he threw the ball. The guy who came out to catch him was Kevin Herget, who you guys probably don't even know is on the roster, a relief pitcher.
Relief pitcher, yeah.
32 years old, had bounced around independent leagues, a few cups of coffee in the majors, whatever. That day, he gets his first and only major league save in that game. And he came out and caught that ball for my nephew. So that was pretty cool. That's something I will not forget.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Chad, anything to add for the Cincinnati Reds?
Just excited to see where things are going. Like, it finally feels like there's a legitimate core. There's legitimately something to build off of that isn't going to be dismantled in 2 years. Right? Like most of these guys are here. They're under control for another 4, 5, 6 years. It feels like they have a window to build something that isn't like, okay, we've got 2021, and if we don't get it done in 2021, we're tearing it down and starting back over. Like it feels like we're at a period where some continuity can finally be built. And that's, when you look at where things were 2 years ago, that's pretty impressive, really.
Yeah, I'm
interested to see about these kids, but I didn't see this coming like this. No.
Well, you also have to.
They just acquired some of these dudes.
I would say you also have to be careful, George, and not. What'll happen is if there's a correction to the mean in year 2, or these guys aren't all fantastic in their second year in professional sports, everybody will be ready to throw them away. It's like, no, like you have a path now to stay on it and let these guys build as a team and grow. We saw it 07, 08, all the way to 2013.
Right.
That was a group. They didn't come together all at once, but it was a group that came together over a short window and turned into something.
And there is this reason that they will continue down that path, and that is finances. These guys are all controllable, and they're not going to be outrageous salaries anytime soon. So my guess is, given the way things have gone traditionally down there, this path makes the most sense for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it'd be interesting to see what moves they make as the offseason progresses before they get to spring training, pitchers and catchers reporting. I think there's certainly some money still to be spent, and I think that I don't know if you're going to try and keep up with the Dodgers. These guys are going to have to be as good as they did last year.
Right.
Look, the Dodgers have shown all you got to do to get to the playoffs, and you can beat the Dodgers.
Yeah.
You might
The
not
best
beat
team
them
during the
over
regular season.
162, yeah. But they are dreadful when they get into a 5 or a short series. Like it has not been good.
No, I mean, you just got to get in. That's what the Diamondbacks did.
Yep.
Just get in.
Worked out pretty well.
Yep.
That's right.
They have a bad final weekend, and the Reds are in over the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy? I was looking at some of that today in September and how those losses at Pittsburgh, for God's sake, those were crushing. But this is an exciting team, fun to watch. I love the fact they're stealing bases again, led the major leagues in stolen bases. And number 2, I think, was Arizona. I'm not positive. I think they were number 2.
No, they were number 2. Yeah.
So it's just the excitement is so much more than what it's been when it was a lot of station to station waiting for the home run. Nah, turn them loose.
Beer
baby.
League softball.
Correct.
All right. I don't have anything else really on Bengals and Reds. If you want to just get this mailbag and get us out of here. If you want to
let me tie 2 quick things.
Go ahead.
To the Bengals and Reds. The Bengals thing was the DeMar Hamlin game happened January 2nd of 2023. Just shows how long of a year it's been. So, and big shouts to the UC Medical, everything involved there. Just a really good thing for the city being really there, and obviously a sad game and a very, very tough thing to have happen. But that was a cool thing to shine some light on some people that don't really get a light shined on them in the city. And then baseball wise, as you guys already mentioned, and I know you don't care, but on my fantasy baseball team, I had Plain, I had Ellie, I had CES, I had them all. And I tell you what, we had a fun ride until Ellie really fell off the map a little bit there. But you know what? I'll keep him until he's done playing, baby.
I would keep a little plate discipline, and that's all it's going to take.
Yep.
Oh,
I agree.
One of the other subjects we do talk about on George in the Jungle, though, just real quick, FC Cincinnati had a great season this past year as well.
That was a highlight for sure. A very disappointing way to end against Columbus in a game you're up 2-0. You can't let that happen. But
the worst lead in soccer.
I tell you. But, the league didn't do them any favors sitting down the top defenseman in the league because of whatever the hell happened in that Red Bulls game, or after the game when he went after the officials. But that just seemed to me, I still just don't know that you suspend star players in some of the biggest games of the year if it's something that's not. I mean, if he shot heroin at the middle of the field in front of everyone, maybe, but I don't get it.
The Bengals have kind of dealt with that.
with which part?
1982?
Oh, man.
Or no, 80, 89, 88.
Oh,
88
you mean
was
that field down in Miami. Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah, I want to thank them for that. Talk about waking up with a headbanger and having to go to work immediately. I got like 20 guys in my hotel room. And, back then it wasn't cell phone. So they're calling the phone on the little desk by the bed. and it just keeps ringing. And it's like, all right, who's messing with me? It's like, Stanley Wilson's missing. We got to do something. It's like, oh, well, all right, time to sober up. Oh, man. It never ends when you're in business. It never ends.
It's one of those like in Major League where Jake is trying to get the phone when he's in the Mexican League.
Yes. That's exactly what it was.
Oh. Are you messing with me?
And
Jake, we want you to come to the Indians. Spring training.
It was the one coworker who stayed sober pretty much the entire week. The rest of us were on the other end of that spectrum.
I got to guess.
Oh, you do?
Is my guess right?
Probably not. I don't think you know this.
Okay. I was going to go your former.
And yeah. Actually, he was out late with Springer that night. The last I heard, they were on a beach somewhere with some Bengal cheerleaders. I don't know what happened. That's all I know. Obviously, I was with 15 guys from Georgetown.
I might take option A, but sure.
Yeah. I my option B wasn't all that great, but we had.
On that note, I think it's time for a quick paper supply timestamp.
Aaron, that's normally you're moving on.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies, to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009. They are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
All right. And the mailbag is fairly light this week. We'll start out with the football portion of the mailbag, though. And this week, any indication, kind of a question similar to this last week. I don't think anything has changed, but any indication there will be movement among the football staff, or are all signs leading you to believe that they will return next season intact?
It's coaching hires, so nothing leads me to believe anything. Like Brad Glenn, as Brent mentioned, was hired on March 1st last year. Like we got a long way to go as coaching hires play out. I will say it's been more quiet than I can ever remember nationally. You're just not seeing – you're seeing some coordinator movement, but the coaching carousel was not all that active this year. So you're not seeing the filter down of there's jobs open, but it's not like this domino effect as the stuff starts to break at the top. We didn't see as much activity at the top. We're not seeing as much activity in the middle or the bottom. So to this point, I haven't heard anything. Does that mean there's not going to be anything? No. Like there's a chance once the NFL cycle plays out, do coaches that can re-trigger things where if the NFL hires 2 or 3 college coaches, all of a sudden there's this tidal wave in 3 weeks that colleges have to deal with. But right now it's been fairly calm in that world.
We know this. It won't be as crazy as last year at this time.
No. And I'm not having many agents hit me up. It's funny once agents find out you have a platform and a voice, like they want to get their information onto as many platforms and voices as they can. And that avenue hasn't really been very active so far. We'll see. I could wake up tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning with 3 voicemails and off in a different direction it goes. But that's where we're at for now.
Right. And the last question in the football portion of the mailbag: how would you like to know how the next season goes? A week before the season starts, you are informed and get to watch exactly what is going to happen, but you can't tell anyone / no one can understand you. If you try, you can't take any financial gain out of it. Or when the season is over, you can watch it game after game and binge it.
I would make financial gain out of knowing what goes on every game because it's what I do. I don't know how you take that part out for me. There will be financial gain.
I think he's meaning gambling.
Okay. Fair.
Yeah, I would not like to know.
You want to know, like, you can't know all season until the end?
No. I just want it to unfold the way it does. I don't want to know ahead of time.
You got to pick. You know before the season, or you don't know till the end of the season, and then you get to go back and binge watch.
Oh, God. You know what? I'll go back and binge watch. I'll do that.
Tell me before.
No commercials.
I have to keep quiet
World
on
War II went, and I just binge watched a documentary last week.
I heard it's pretty awesome too.
Yeah, it was cool.
I mean, we all watched the Titanic, and we knew how that one ended.
Right, exactly.
What a great analogy.
Poor Jack.
Analogy.
Hey, true story. When the Titanic,
About the Titanic?
television, there was a station in this market, and their news director got mad at their promotions people for using a final scene in Titanic and letting the cat out of the bag that the damn thing sunk. And it's like, dude, everyone knows what happens to the ship.
Man, wow.
Yeah, true story.
Well, that's an angry person.
Was not mine.
That's a person that's always angry, looking for something to be angry
Yeah, that's
about.
someone that's way too deep into it.
Who was it that showed the scene of the boat sinking in the movie about the boat sinking?
Why would you do that? You gave away the end.
Gave away the special ending.
Oh, it's so funny. That's the stuff that happens.
That is the football portion of the mailbag. Unbelievable how we got there. The basketball portion of the mailbag. What is our conference record with Stetson Dan, 29-10 in 27 minutes? What is our conference record with Xavier Dan, 2 points and 6 rebounds in 23 minutes?
If Dan is really good, they're going to be okay. If he's really bad, they're probably not. I mean, I think that's what you're getting at. Like, I don't know. We don't know what any of this is going to look like. They could be really good and win 6 conference games. Like, that's a real thing that could happen. They could play well for a large majority of January, February, and March and end up with 7 conference wins.
Right. That is.
Dan also just might not be good against good competition.
That's what I'm worried about. I hate to say that out loud, but if it's Xavier Dan, then it's going to be a long conference season.
Or you're going to have to figure out that you just don't play him in a role as a scorer and you use him as go in, play hard, rebound, give us some glue guy stuff. But if he can't figure out how to score against good defenses regularly,
if he's doing,
you're not going to be able
rebounds in 23 minutes. He needs to be down to 10 minutes.
Yeah. Now he can help you on the glass, no matter when, where, how, why, what you play. But you can't have 2 points, Dan, if you're going to win in this league. Well,
Stetson Dan was knocking down his threes. I think it's obviously a confidence thing, as you guys spoke about in the post-game presser. But so if as the question asks, our conference record with Stetson Dan, where he's knocking down 5 of 6 open threes.
Yeah,
that's pretty damn good Big 12 team. I don't even care anything else. But if it is truly Xavier Dan, you got enough pieces to figure out other things. But gosh, I hope this is just kind of a push towards Dan heading in the right direction. But man, it just, I don't know. It's NKU scores 25. Stetson, he scores 29. See if he can do it against some of the big dogs.
Yep, needs to step that up. Good question.
Do you start Jamil and bring Aziz off the bench? If Vic continues to eat up minutes at the 5, whose minutes is he taking, Jamil or Aziz?
I think people are undervaluing how good Aziz Danco is. I mean, he's like I know the addition of Jamil is awesome to see, but when Aziz is on the floor, his impact on offense and defense is in ways. Obviously, defense is very obvious, but offense, if they cut down on the amount of lob attempts that they try and throw him, just his ability to be there on the offensive glass and be there just as a threat to have the lob thrown, I think he has a lot of value out there. I don't think Vic will be eating up. I think the rotation will be the same. I think it would be only Odie who starts to lose the minutes if things play out, with everyone back healthy and rolling as expected.
Here's my concern, Brent. Aziz is excellent as a weak side, off ball, shot blocking presence.
Right.
He's excellent in making the defense react or making the offense react to where he is on the floor.
Right.
He has a weakness, and that's if you can throw it to your center and your center has him
on ball. Yeah. Right.
Because he is not somebody that is just going to wall up and be able to stop somebody from backing him down. He might be able to alter the shot,
right? But
they're going to get to their spot to score.
Yeah.
And if that is something that the Big 12 focuses on, like that's at the top of scouting reports, it's going to be difficult to get him a ton of minutes.
Right. Which is why you can do the Jamil then in that case, the body, and have Aziz on the help side. Yeah.
If Vic continues to eat up minutes at the 5, I mean, I don't know. I guess right now probably Aziz. The reason I think that specifically is I think Jamil and Vic work. Like, I think there can be a really good two big, high-low, like, synergy between them offensively. I don't know what defense looks like if you're asking Vic to guard wings, 6'8" wings in the Big 12.
Yeah,
but offensively, I love the idea of Vic and Jamil together.
I thought they looked good Friday night. In fact, it surprised me. I didn't know Reynolds was going to be that good with, and he had those.
He can really pass.
Once he slows down, that dude can pass the ball, and Vic's really good at passing the ball. I thought they looked pretty darn good together on the offensive end.
He wants to dunk everything.
And Jamil he is an angry offensive player down low, and I love that.
Yeah.
That spin move is high level.
Yeah.
High level. Like there's not many big men in the country that are going to be able to handle him when he puts that spin move on him.
It's good for West to have that option,
Sure.
I mean, he'll be able to mix and match depending on what, and I hope he does that based on what the other team's throwing out there, and I'm sure he will.
You're muted, Aaron.
In the chat, before we get to the last basketball question in the mailbag, is Aziz better playing with the smaller, faster lineup?
Depending on how you use it, yeah, potentially. The thing I worry about with the smaller, faster lineup is where's the offense going to come from? I just
that would be Stetson Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stetson Dan. Let's do it.
All right. And the last question in the basketball portion of the mailbag. It seems like the offense constantly has Aziz and a guard run a pick and roll pop with Vic down on the baseline. Is there a reason why Aziz and Vic don't switch those roles? Vic would provide a perimeter threat and Aziz a lob option down low.
They mix it up. I mean, I think people see one thing and then they just fixate on it. I don't think it has been exclusively Aziz at the top and Vic down in the dunk spot. So they switch those roles. Some of it depends on who starts the offense, where the ball comes in, what side of the floor you're on. So, I mean, we'd have to do a fairly in-depth video review. And guess what? It's coming soon. And it's going to be awesome when I tell you guys who I'm doing a video breakdown show with, talking Bearcats basketball.
I look forward to it.
It's going to be Le Fantastique.
A French man.
Not necessarily.
Does his name rhyme with Mustin Ferg?
No.
All right.
No. We're going way up the food chain to do this one.
Well, I know he's a junkie for basketball.
Let's just say this: it's someone that knows UC basketball in its current iteration, as well as anyone.
All right.
Blackboard.
Is this a current member of the media?
No.
Okay.
Staff.
Current member of the staff? No.
I think I have.
The poor. Le oui oui.
Aha.
Le
Very
oui
good.
oui.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
All right. The last portion of the mailbag, the Banks portion here, kind of went a little out of order, but feeding into NCAA football coming back in the summer, in a hypothetical world, would Aaron be willing to attend every UC athletic function for free and be treated like a high donor, or play the new NCAA football game? Well, with my schedule, watching my daughter, I don't know that going to every UC athletic function for free would be in the scheduling options for me.
But they'd be treating you like a high donor. So that's private jet to the function. You're back the same
like you could get there. You could helicopter it to UC and back at that point.
Are they going to watch my daughter though? Is
Yes,
really what I need?
Yes, they will.
She'll love it. You're going to be in suites. You could get you could get your own loge box.
What's this called?
Where like you and your daughter are just hanging out.
They'll probably hire you an au pair. Is that what it's called?
Sounds like a lot of work. I think I'd just prefer to play the new video game.
Oh man.
He doesn't know, George.
Great time.
Yeah, you're passing up. Oh.
He doesn't know.
So, Aaron, I
a lot of
work. I'll ask you later.
Okay.
Like, is PS5 getting upgraded, or what do I do?
We'll talk about that.
NCAA football's really coming back. I got to do something.
It's in July, George. It's coming back in July.
So, PS5 or what?
We'll talk later, George.
Okay, cool.
Which BCJ staff members will be asleep before midnight New Year's Eve? Asleep or passed out? Because passed out, there might be two people on this podcast currently that may be passed out before New Year's Eve hits.
It won't be me. Is that what you're getting at? These last few New Year's Eve, I haven't drank that much. But I may be asleep before midnight. I won't be passed out, but I may be asleep.
I don't know. I just heard that 48-hour Christmas Eve hangovers were a thing this year.
It's still in effect. I know leftover food out there. I'm going to be eating like I have a hangover.
Look, take drinking in or out of the mix however you want. I haven't been asleep before midnight. I couldn't tell you the last time I was asleep before midnight. Like, we do this almost every night until 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock. Like, your sleep schedule is such, your sleep schedule is such that you just get used to it. Like, I couldn't tell you the last time I was like head on the pillow, eyes closed at 11:59.
It was a long time for me when I was doing what I was doing. But
yeah, you just get into the groove of it.
Yeah.
And if you take an off day, it's not like you can just shut down at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. That doesn't work.
In fact, probably 2 months after I retired, I was still geeked up in the evenings. And it's like, my body was just used to that. The adrenaline started. It's like, God, I don't have to be ready for any shows.
And if you're like me, at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, your body was like idling.
Right.
like you weren't like pass out tired, but you were like, oh, get a good yawn in. Like, I don't know. It's just like it.
That makes so much more sense, though, as to why George has the bourbon with the Cincy Light Chaser.
Let's go to bed before 11 o'clock.
Yeah. That's right.
I'm serious. It's been years since I like remember. Like, I'm sure there's been a random, like I didn't feel well or, whatever. But like, no, I'm not asleep before midnight ever. I couldn't if I tried. If I went to bed at 10:30 on New Year's Eve, I would be up at midnight because my body would just be like, nah, dog, I'm not shutting down. We're good.
I get that's how I was for a long time. I mean, decades.
Brent, what you got lined up for New Year's Eve?
I think the answer is 0 to this question, right?
Yeah, none of us will be asleep before midnight. None.
No
Dave might. Dave, I could see Dave asleep before midnight.
There's football games that night, though, right?
I think there's.
Day.
Yeah.
Well, it's a Sunday, so
there might be NFL.
There's all NFL games, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'll probably be up till like wee hours in the morning, watching the ball drop and every single.
I could see Dave
California
and Keegan
ball drop. Sure.
I could see Dave and Keegan asleep maybe by midnight. Brent will be up at 3 a.m. for sure.
Say, oh wow, the Hawaii ball is about to drop. Let's watch that.
That's about the last one, right? What's the
yeah, I think that's the last. That's got to be that's got to be the last one.
And the first one's in Japan, or is it somewhere else?
Yeah,
Japan,
somewhere way over there.
Yeah, I'll be up. I might not be doing anything worth a shit, but I'll be up.
Answer 0.
Yeah, 0.
The last question here in the mailbag.
Right.
Last question in the mailbag comes from Skins, as always. Hello, George. Welcome to the mailbag. Rapid fire, mostly for George. Favorite personality to work with at Channel 5 in your career?
Oh, man, there's a bunch of them. I hate to pin it down to one, but the one. Okay, one that come back, I got to go Springer because it was in my formative years. And he was just such a.
Hold on. Time out. Not Scott Springer. Jerry Springer.
Like Scott. Yeah, Jerry Springer. He was just such a multifaceted Renaissance kind of guy, and he loved hanging out in the sports department. The only thing I didn't like about him was his love of the Yankees. I understood it, but he always was bringing up this Yankees BS. But he was a good, solid Reds fan and a good Cincinnati fan, and losing him this year was tough. Yeah, I'll go with Jerry. And then weddings during football season, yay or nay? Nay, all day long. Nay, don't do it.
All right. And then bourbon or whiskey?
Bourbon. I used to do whiskey, Tennessee sipping whiskey, if you know what I mean, with a black label. But I've become a complete bourbon, I wouldn't say snob, but freak.
Hey, George, did I show you this?
Oh, yeah. Nicely done. Oh, how about that? That's huge. Damn.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I think we're taking it to the fog with us, Brent. What do you think?
I think that's a good reason to take that with us. Would be the fog. Yes.
That's
we got one extra. We got one extra spot, George. You want to come?
I may do that. When is it? Where is it?
We're leaving January 22nd. We're driving to Kansas City. We're spending the night in a 5-bedroom kind of mansion type place. And then we're going to watch UC play Kansas at Fog Allen Arena.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
and then we'll come back Tuesday morning.
I may do that.
I rented a 8-person Sonoma, and we're driving that bad boy to Kansas City. It's got I'll send you the place. The place is sick. It's got a projector, 100 and whatever inch projector screen.
Keep me.
It's got a hot tub.
I think I'll do that.
Yeah, we got one extra spot if you want.
I
Aaron
don't
couldn't
think I
make
have
it,
any
so
surgeries or procedures scheduled that month, so I should be good.
it's just Sunday morning to Tuesday, like afternoon, evening, and we'll be back.
That's easy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in.
All right.
Follow-up question. Assuming the BCJ staff were to magically become a broadcast team for a TV station, I guess think Anchorman, who is in what role? Anchor, weather, sports, traffic.
Well, George will do sports.
Obviously.
I'll take that.
Brent would probably be the anchor, right? Like I could see that. It just fits you.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I don't know. Like I mean, where would you put me? Weather? Reporter? I do man on the street, like reporter stuff.
Fun.
You know how much fun I would have with that?
Oh, yeah. So you're the
Aaron,
field reporter.
I'm the field reporter. Aaron, weather?
I could be weather. Dave, traffic.
Keegan. I think Keegan would be traffic. Dave would be our investigative, like, John Matteries. Dave would be our John Matteries. Dave on your side.
Your money.
Yeah, Dave on your side.
Yes.
Yeah, Keegan may be the the
field story guy.
Yeah, let's kick to Tom Rinaldi.
News, as Springer used to call it back in the day.
What do you call it?
Would be off, and it was an all-guy cast. Chickless.
What do you call it? Chickless news.
That's awesome.
Well, that's the mailbag.
Royer would be there for like a monthly segment, just like one appearance, and maybe makes it.
Reagan could do. Reagan would be good at traffic.
Yeah.
There we go. We're set.
Got a good lineup.
That's
That's the mailbag. Get us out of here, Brent.
Well, 2023 is officially over. That was a good year in the books. BBP, that is. Still a couple more days. Got a basketball game on Friday. Evansville. Don't underestimate the Purple Aces. We got some fight. Chad, BCJ pod this week. Coming
That's
to
the
you.
plan. I haven't heard from Dave in a couple days since he sent out the picture of that dish of Jello shots on Christmas
Jello
Eve.
shots. Yeah.
I have not heard from him since then. So
I
I would plan on.
Thought about sending a picture as well of my current state, but it's just I passed.
Were you passed out on the floor somewhere?
Well, Dave hides behind the like he's got like a fake name, like an alias. It's the BCJ Twitter handle, so he can just throw out things that he wants.
Everybody thinks it's me. You know how many people think I run that account, George?
Right.
You don't?
No. George thinks I run that account.
I know. Oh, God.
Oh, well. But it was a good year. 2023 year in review. It was a good crossover as well. Big shout out, George. Thanks for joining us.
It was fun.
BBP, George in the Jungle. That's a match made in heaven right there. But hey,
every Tuesday night, 9 o'clock on this channel. If there's a Tuesday night basketball game, George and Aaron will be live.
Yes.
Reaction.
And can I do it from the arena on the Texas night? I'll talk to you about it later.
We'll figure it out. We'll work it out.
Yeah. Okay.
Why not?
We'll make you leave. We'll make you leave at halftime for the Texas game, George.
I mean, I didn't mind for Merrimack or whoever the hell it was.
Right.
We'll get it worked
or
out.
The Hatters.
Get it worked out.
Little Stetson, but of course, shout out to our sponsors. Got to give a good dish of love to not only Danco Transmission and Auto Care, but Aaron, you want to do the quick shout out to Remington?
Yeah, for Remington Tavern, again, that can be found 8892 Glendale Milford Road, 45140, with their daily happy hour from 3 to 7 p.m. A $5 Woodford Wednesday every Wednesday. And you can find them on Instagram at RemiTav, RemiTav, Cincy with a Y, and follow them on Facebook at Remington Tavern.
Boom. Quick Paper Supply as well. And of course, Home Field Apparel. I guess, for sponsoring the Mailbag, kind of.
I think
Yeah.
tomorrow is the end of the home field, the end of the 5-month home field contract. So
Well, happy that we locked in the final one. But
Yeah.
hey, guys, it's
right.
been a fun year. 2024 will be even better. But hey, for my guys, the historic BBP George of the Jungle crossover. That's right. Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, George Vogel. I am Brent Young. And another fantastic BBP George of the Jungle. Brought to you by BearcatJournal.com.
miss you, Ryan.